Captain Kim stood on the bridge of the Earthship Pioneer as it approached the massive Galactic Council station. The huge structure floated in space like a jewel, all gleaming metal and strange angles. Lights flickered across its surface in patterns no human had seen before today. Kim checked his uniform one last time. He was a tall man with serious eyes who rarely showed emotion. 20 years in Earth's Space Force had prepared him for many things, but not for this moment, humanity's first official meeting with alien life. Behind him, Dr. Park couldn't stop adjusting her translator device. Her fingers kept tapping the small metal box attached to her collar. Unlike the captain, she couldn't hide her feelings. Her eyes were wide, and she kept biting her lower lip. Dr. Park, Kim said quietly, the translator will work fine. Please try to relax. I've tested it with all the language samples they sent, she replied. But what if I missed something? What if I made a mistake that causes a war? Captain Kim turned to face her. Stop worrying. Earth has prepared for this moment for decades. We're ready. The rest of the small crew, just 5 other humans, worked silently at their stations. They all felt the weight of responsibility. 7 billion humans waited back on Earth to hear how this meeting would go. Station Control has sent docking instructions, said Officer Jean, the pilot. They're guiding us in now. Kim nodded. Follow their lead exactly. The Pioneer slowly moved toward an opening in the side of the massive station. The docking bay could have held 50 ships their size. As they entered, they saw vessels of all shapes and designs. Some looked like they shouldn't be able to fly at all. Look at that one, whispered Dr. Park, pointing at a ship that seemed to be made of crystal. How does it even hold air? We have much to learn, Kim replied. That's why we're here. When the ship was secured, Kim gathered his team. Remember your training. Be respectful but firm. We represent all of humanity today. A soft hiss announced that the station atmosphere had connected with their ship. The airlock door slid open to reveal a long corridor made of some blue-green material that seemed to glow from within. Breathable air, as promised, said Dr. Park, checking her instruments. No detected toxins. Captain Kim straightened his shoulders. Let's not keep the galaxy waiting. They walked down the corridor, their footsteps making no sound on the strange floor. At the end, a large circular door opened automatically. The humans entered a vast room with a high ceiling that showed the stars beyond. In the center stood a group of beings unlike anything they had ever seen. 3 tall blue-skinned creatures with 4 arms each stepped forward. Their heads were hairless with large eyes that blinked sideways. They wore simple white robes with complex symbols. That's not what I expected, whispered Officer Jean. The tallest blue being approached and made a gesture with its upper right hand. I am Representative Terex of the Council Leadership. Welcome to Harmony Station. Dr. Park's translator worked perfectly, the aliens' strange sounds converting to clear Earth language in their earpieces. Captain Kim bowed slightly. I am Captain Kim of Earth's diplomatic fleet. We bring greetings from humanity. Terex's face moved in what might have been a smile, showing teeth that looked oddly sharp. Humans of Earth, the Council welcomes you to galactic civilization. We have much to discuss about your potential membership. Kim noticed how the other aliens stayed back, watching carefully. Behind Terex stood representatives from at least 20 different species. Some had many limbs, others none at all. Some floated in the air while others moved on something like wheels. As Terex spoke about the Council's long history and great achievements, Dr. Park leaned closer to Kim. I don't trust that smile, she whispered. Captain Kim kept his face neutral, but he nodded slightly. Neither do I. He had noticed how the other council members looked at the humans, not with curiosity or welcome, but with calculation. It reminded him of predators sizing up prey. Please, said Terex, gesturing toward another doorway, join us in the meeting chamber. We have prepared a traditional welcome ceremony. As they followed Terex deeper into the station, Kim sensed they were walking into something much more complicated than a simple diplomatic meeting. Humanity had waited generations for this moment, but first contact might not be the celebration they had hoped. 4.3 days had passed since the Earth delegation arrived at Harmony Station. The welcome ceremony had seemed friendly enough at first. The Council had shown them amazing technology and introduced them to 20 different alien species. They had eaten strange foods and exchanged basic cultural information. But now, in the large meeting room with its circular table, things had changed completely. "This is outrageous." Dr. Park slammed her hand on the negotiation table. Her face was red with anger, and her voice shook. The 7 council representatives sitting across from the humans didn't react. Their faces showed nothing close to shame or concern. Terex, the blue-skin leader, simply blinked his sideways eyelids slowly. Captain Kim placed a calming hand on Dr. Park's arm. He had suspected something like this might happen. The council had been too friendly, too eager to show off their power. Now he knew why. "Please understand our position," Terex said in the same smooth voice he had used during the welcome party. "These are our terms. Earth will provide annual tribute of rare minerals, biological specimens, and 20% of your global energy production. In exchange, you receive our protection." Captain Kim kept his face neutral despite the anger burning inside him. "Protection from what?" he asked, though he already guessed the answer. A different council member, a reptilian being with scales that changed color as it spoke, leaned forward. "From us," it said simply. Several representatives made sounds that the translators identified as laughter. The sound made Kim's skin crawl. Captain Lee, who had been quiet until now, shifted in her seat. As Earth's military advisor, she had come prepared for trouble. Her hand stayed close to the small weapon hidden under her jacket, even though she knew it would be useless against the entire station. "And if we refuse?" she asked, her voice hard and cold. Terex didn't speak this time. Instead, he pressed something on the table in front of him. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, showing a beautiful green-blue planet. It looked a bit like Earth, with oceans and clouds and several small moons. Then the image changed. A massive ship appeared near the planet. A beam of light shot out from the ship toward the planet's surface. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then a crack formed, starting at the point where the beam hit and spreading quickly around the curve of the planet. The Earth delegation watched in horror as the planet broke apart like an egg dropped on concrete. Billions of lives, an entire world's history and future, gone in minutes. When the recording ended, Terex spoke again. "This was the homeworld of the last species that declined our generous offer. The Viridians were proud, like humans seem to be. They thought they could resist." Dr. Park's face had gone from red with anger to white with shock. Officer Jean looked sick. Only Captain Kim and Captain Lee kept their expressions controlled, though Kim could feel his heart pounding in his chest. "We require time to consult with Earth leadership," Kim said, keeping his voice steady despite the fury building inside him. He knew showing weakness now would be dangerous. "Of course," Terex replied with that same fake smile. "We understand this is a significant decision. You have one solar cycle. No more. One day. They had one day to decide the fate of Earth. You may return to your ship to communicate with your leaders," Terex continued. "We have provided a secure channel. When you return tomorrow, we expect your answer." As the humans stood to leave, Dr. Park leaned close to Captain Kim. "They're going to destroy Earth if we don't agree, aren't they?" she whispered. Kim didn't answer immediately. He watched as Terex talked quietly with the reptilian council member, both occasionally glancing at the humans with what looked like satisfaction. "Yes," Kim finally replied in a low voice. "That's exactly what they plan to do." The Earth delegation walked back to their ship in silence. Each step echoed in the empty corridor. When they reached the Pioneer and the doors sealed behind them, Captain Lee immediately began scanning for listening devices. "Clear," she said after a minute. "At least in this room." Captain Kim looked at each member of his team. "We have 24 hours to save Earth," he said. "Let's get to work." Dr. Park activated the communication system. "I'll inform Earth leadership about what just happened."
They need to know what we're dealing with.
Tell them everything, Kim said, staring out the viewport at the massive station.
But also tell them I don't intend to surrender. The council thinks they know how to handle humans. They're about to learn they're very wrong.
The large meeting room in United Nations headquarters was packed with people. World leaders had gathered within hours after receiving the urgent message from space. The room normally held calm discussions, but today tension filled the air. Some people stood while others sat at the long oval table.
Many looked scared. President Choi of the Global Union took her place at the head of the table.
She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes showed strength. She had led Earth through difficult times before, but nothing like this.
Let me be clear about what we're facing, she said, her voice firm. These aliens, this Galactic Council, they're not diplomats. They're pirates in fancy clothes.
She pressed a button, and Captain Kim's face appeared on the large screen. He looked tired after the long meeting with the council.
Captain, please repeat what they demanded, President Choi asked.
They want 20% of Earth's energy production, plus rare minerals and biological samples, Kim said.
They call it tribute. We call it extortion. General Han, the top military commander, stood up next.
She was holding a tablet filled with data.
We've analyzed their communication patterns, she said.
The transmissions between Harmony Station and other systems tell us a lot. They've done this before, systematically stripped resources from dozens of worlds.
Can we fight them? Someone asked.
General Han shook her head.
Not directly. You all saw the recording of that planet being destroyed.
Their weapons are far beyond ours. The room grew quiet as people considered what this meant.
If Earth couldn't fight and wouldn't surrender, what options remained? Director Song from the Science Division broke the silence. What about their technology? Did our team learn anything useful during their visit?
All eyes turned to Professor Yoon, who sat in the corner surrounded by computers. He was younger than most people in the room, with quick eyes that missed nothing. While others had been talking, he had been working.
There's something they don't realize about humans, Professor Yoon said, standing up. Our adaptability.
He walked to the main screen and connected his tablet. Look at these scans we took of their ships while they thought we were just being polite. The screen filled with technical diagrams and energy readings.
Many people in the room couldn't understand what they were seeing.
In simple terms, Yoon explained, their technology is advanced but predictable. They've used the same systems for thousands of years.
Why change what works? But that's made them lazy.
He touched the screen to highlight specific parts. Their communication systems, their weapons, their shields, they all work on the same basic principles.
And we've figured out those principles.
The room fell silent as they examined his findings. Hope began to replace fear on some faces.
Are you saying we can defend against them? President Choi asked.
Better than that, Professor Yoon replied. I'm saying we can shut them down. He showed another set of diagrams. While Captain Kim and Dr. Park were in meetings, our ship's sensors were gathering data. Every piece of their technology sends out a specific energy signature.
Once we identified the pattern, we realized we could disrupt it. Like turning off a switch, asked General Han.
More like changing the rules while they're playing the game, Yoon said.
Their technology works on principles they believe are universal constants. But we've discovered they're not so constant. President Choi leaned forward. Can we make this work in time? They only gave us 1 day.
Professor Yoon smiled for the first time since the meeting began.
We already have.
He pressed another button, and a small device appeared on screen.
It looked simple, just a metal box with a few buttons.
This device can create a field that disrupts their entire power system.
We've tested it on the data we collected. It works.
We can build enough of these to protect Earth, and we can send smaller versions with Captain Kim back to the station.
Will they know we have this technology? Asked Director Song. Not until it's too late, Yoon replied. They think we're primitive. Their arrogance is our advantage. President Choi stood up and looked around the room. Then we have our answer to their ultimatum. Not surrender, not war, but something they won't expect. She turned back to the screen where Captain Kim waited. Captain, we're sending you what you need. When you return to face the Council tomorrow, you'll show them that humans don't respond well to threats. Captain Kim nodded. Understood, Madam President. What exactly should I tell them? President Choi smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Tell them Earth has considered their offer, and we have a counterproposal they won't want to refuse. Captain Kim adjusted his uniform as he and Dr. Park walked down the long corridor toward the council chambers. They moved with purpose, their footsteps steady. Behind them walked Captain Lee and two other crew members, each carrying small cases that contained Earth's response to the council's demands. Are you nervous? Dr. Park asked quietly. Kim shook his head. No. For the first time since we arrived, I actually feel confident. The small device in his pocket seemed to weigh nothing, yet it carried the hopes of everyone back on Earth. Professor Yoon's team had worked through the night to create it, using the scans they had taken during their first visit. The doors to the council chambers slid open. Inside, the 7 council representatives sat in their high seats, looking down at the humans with expressions that seemed smug, even on their alien faces. Several other alien species lined the walls, watching with curiosity. Terex spoke first, his blue skin gleaming under the chamber's lights. Humans, you have returned exactly 1 solar cycle later, as instructed. Good. Have you brought confirmation of Earth's compliance with our terms? Kim stepped forward, standing tall. We have brought Earth's answer, he said calmly. He removed the small device from his pocket and placed it on the floor in the center of the room. The council members watched with mild interest, clearly not seeing it as any kind of threat. Kim pressed a button on the device. Instantly, a large holographic display filled the air above it. The images showed dozens of planets, star systems, and alien civilizations. Each image was connected to documents, numbers, and records. What is this? Terex asked, leaning forward. These are your records, Kim replied. Complete documentation of every world you've threatened and exploited. Every tribute you've collected. Every planet you've destroyed when they refused to submit. The council members shifted uncomfortably. A low murmur spread through the watching aliens along the walls. While you were busy threatening us, Kim continued, we were busy understanding you. Your ships, your weapons, your entire technological system. You see, humans have always been good at figuring things out quickly. Terex stood up, his voice harder now. Turn off this display immediately. These are private council matters. Private? Kim asked. Or just hidden from your victims? Hidden from the very species you claim to protect? Dr. Park stepped forward now. Captain, shall I demonstrate the second part of Earth's response? Kim nodded. Please do, Doctor. Dr. Park pressed a button on the small device she wore on her wrist. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, throughout the chamber, lights flickered. The holographic controls on the council members' seats sparked and went dark. The artificial gravity wavered briefly. What is happening? Demanded a reptilian council member, hitting controls that no longer worked. We've neutralized your technological advantage, explained Kim. During our brief visit, we learned enough about your systems to develop countermeasures. The device Dr. Park just activated creates a field that disrupts your power systems. Impossible. Terex shouted, standing up so quickly that he knocked over his chair. No level 3 civilization could understand our technology so quickly. For your other victims, perhaps that was true, said Dr. Park calmly. But humans adapt quickly. We solved in days what you thought would take centuries. Throughout the chamber, panic began to spread among the council members. Some tried to call for guards, but their communication devices no longer worked. Others simply stared at the humans in shock. Captain Lee stepped forward now, opening one of the cases she had brought. Inside was a small model of Earth, floating above a base.
Earth does not accept your terms, she said firmly. Instead, we offer new ones. First, the Council will end all forced tributes from every world under your control. Second, you will provide compensation to those worlds for what you've taken. And third, you will restructure the Council to give equal representation to all species. Terex's face had changed color, showing what might have been the alien equivalent of extreme anger or fear. And if we refuse your demands? He asked. Kim gestured around the chamber where nothing electronic was working. This is just a demonstration. Similar devices have been installed on Earth and throughout our solar system. If you attack us, all your ships and weapons will simply stop working. He stepped closer to Terex. But we don't want war. Unlike you, we believe in true cooperation. We want to join a galactic community based on mutual respect, not fear. The Reptilian Council member leaned over to whisper something to Terex. After a moment, Terex's posture changed. The anger faded from his face, replaced by something that looked like reluctant respect. It seems we have underestimated humanity, he said finally. Perhaps, we should discuss these new terms. Captain Kim nodded. That would be wise. Dr. Park, please restore their systems so we can talk properly. Dr. Park pressed another button, and the chamber's light stabilized. The holographic controls flickered back to life. Now, said Kim, let's begin again, as equals this time. The council chamber erupted into chaos the moment Captain Kim finished speaking. The air filled with shouts and cries in dozens of languages, making the translation devices struggle to keep up. Representatives from many worlds jumped to their feet. Some were angry, others excited, and many simply confused. Order! Order! Terex screamed, standing at his central position. His blue skin had turned almost purple with rage. He banged his ceremonial staff against the floor, but few paid attention to him now. The council leader's authority was crumbling before everyone's eyes. In the middle of this storm, Captain Kim remained calm. He nodded to Dr. Park, who activated another function on their device. A soft chime rang through the chamber, somehow cutting through the noise and bringing a moment of quiet. Kim took this chance to speak again. His voice was strong and clear, reaching every corner of the large room. To all worlds subjugated by the Council, Earth offers alliance and protection, he announced. And to the Council itself, we offer a choice: reform or become irrelevant. The days of extortion and fear are over. The silence lasted only a few seconds before a small alien with feathery skin stood up from a previously quiet delegation. The creature was only half the size of a human, but its voice carried firmly. The Marata people stand with Earth, it declared. From across the chamber, another representative rose. This one had 4 arms and skin that seemed to shine like metal. As do the Veltraxians. Kim watched in amazement as, one by one, representatives from previously silent delegations found their voices. Species that had been paying tribute for centuries were suddenly speaking out. The Hoshiri joined this alliance. Kalen Prime adds its support. The 3 worlds of Dexys stand with Earth. Terex and the other council leaders looked around in growing horror. Their perfect system of control was falling apart in minutes. Guards moved toward the exits, unsure what to do without working weapons. This is illegal, shouted the Reptilian Council member. The Council has ruled for 10,000 years. Perhaps it's time for something new, Kim replied simply. A week later, the first meeting of what would become the Galactic Alliance took place. 27 formerly subjugated worlds sent representatives. The old council was not invited. 6 months passed quickly as the new alliance took shape. Captain Kim found himself appointed as Earth's chief representative. His days were filled with meetings, plans, and building trust between species that had been taught to fear each other for generations. On this particular day, Captain Kim stood alone on the observation deck of the new Galactic Cooperation headquarters. The station had once been called Harmony Station, but now it actually lived up to that name. Through the large window, he watched ships from 24 worlds arrive for the inaugural assembly. Each ship was different, some sleek and fast, others large and powerful, representing the unique approach each species brought to space travel. In the past, they had hidden from the Council. Now they flew openly and proudly. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said Dr. Park, joining him by the window. She had changed in these months, standing taller and speaking with more confidence. Being one of the humans who had changed galactic history had that effect. "It's beautiful," Kim agreed. "Did you ever think our first act in galactic politics would be causing a revolution?" Dr. Park laughed. "Not exactly what they teach you in diplomatic training." "No," Kim admitted, "but then again, they shouldn't have tried to bully a species that turned from stone tools to space travel in under 10,000 years. They watched as a particularly elegant ship docked at the station. It carried representatives from a world that had been paying tribute to the Council for over 5 centuries. What do you think they learned from this?" Dr. Park wondered aloud. "The Council members, I mean." Captain Kim thought about this for a moment. Some former Council leaders had accepted roles in the new alliance, while others had disappeared to the edges of known space, bitter about their lost power. "That humanity doesn't respond well to extortion," he said finally, a small smile crossing his face. "And that's a lesson the galaxy won't soon forget." As they turned to walk toward the assembly chamber, where the new galactic constitution would be signed, Kim felt a deep sense of pride. Earth's first step into the galactic community had not been perfect or peaceful. But it had created something better than what came before. The doors to the chamber opened before them, revealing hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy, all gathered to begin something new. Captain Kim stepped forward into humanity's future among the stars.